Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart is like a long lost friend, gives every dark street a light at the end. Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall on the wings of my dream. The rain and thunder, the wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. My life, my dream, nothing gonna stop me now. My life, my dream, nothing gonna stop me now. Nothing gonna stop me now.
A middle school boy has some ideas.
What now?
Oh,
Wait, now, no, the,
you know,
I have
twice,
to admit, wait, hold on. I've got
twice
too
in
many
the last
microphones
2
again.
minutes,
I've
you
got
have
too many-
caught me
hold on a
completely
minute.
off guard.
What? I've got too many microphones.
Hello, everybody.
So, I have to admit the chat room is a buzz. It seems like there's these certain people are demanding things.
Yes, there are some regulars who are perching out in the chat room, and
Well, yeah. Oh, look at this, fresh cut. Buzz, buzz.
I'm
And
guessing
actually,
that
we
means
have
they like
someone
your
from
hair.
what in the chat room.
now
So,
we are all back together again after a lengthy time apart, and we struggled together through some fairly.
yes, it was.
I would say they were psychically tolling technical
Yeah. So
problems.
yeah. So you must have been in a very strange place.
Yes, I was accomplishing
secret
my
mission?
top secret mission.
Your top
which
secret mission.
I
yes.
have returned from with
Uh-huh.
a fresh haircut.
Yes. Yeah.
And-
Supposedly your haircut is getting quite the responses here.
Well, it's
People
quite a
seem to like
change
it.
from before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have shaved recently yourself, perhaps?
What, me? What have I? I don't know if I've shaved. Well, I always shave my
Well,
head. What are you talking
we
about?
have a couple of things we're going to talk about today. We have a Lorian joins us
yes.
as well
She has a
in the
microphone.
studio. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about a couple of different things today, and we have a few interactive components as well.
I am not going to show my face.
You know, you won't even show your feet.
Well,
Now, you claim that you ran out of time,
what?
but I think we all know that was just a ploy.
What ploy? Ran out of time? Oh, well,
There were plans to set up a second camera.
well, there are some
It didn't
technical issues with that. Besides, this it's much better to, you know, I'm much better with a microphone than
Well,
people
I
don't want to
think we
see my.
need at
People
least
don't
a
want to.
second
I don't
view.
have the nice haircut like you do.
People don't need to be looking at me the whole time. Can you at least have some alternative visuals there that you could show? Do you have anything queued up?
Well, okay. Oh, you're talking about some possibilities?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, you know what? Okay, so you want some possibilities? Okay, I think I may have something queued up. How about
Okay.
that?
All right, there we go. Now,
Now, how about that?
the first thing I noticed is the perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of the bird's eye view, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Some of the students in the chat room I know have taken your photojournalism class, and they
Yes.
could perhaps provide additional analysis on this image. But
Uh-huh.
the key thing that we want everybody to think about here is, of course, the footwear, because we have had some
Yes.
heated
It's heated. It's got been
impassioned
quite
conversations
heated.
around this.
Heated.
And we thought we would put it to rest tonight with a officially sanctioned poll. This
So-
is the only one you're going to find that gets the perfect blogger stamp of approval.
So yeah, because okay, so now, well, what about, there's other varieties too. You
People
got
are
other-
making, by the
other
way,
varieties.
some really valid criticisms about your Horizon line.
The Horizon is yes, the Horizon. Ha 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 ha. Yes, because that is. I was always preaching about having proper horizons.
Yeah.
The horizon has to be level. So that is.
Could you go
that
back to
is
the
a good
first one
point.
for just a moment?
What, the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
see-
bold, I would say.
Bold.
Wearing
Well,
white
you mean
socks.
the white socks? Yes. Well, you need to be bold. To make a bold statement, you have to be, at least the composition is nice. The leading line, yes, the lines are nice. I have to admit, the tonal variation, but yeah, I was actually in public a few days ago, and with this same exact footwear and sock combination,
Okay, as we're seeing right here.
as we're seeing right here.
And how did it go?
It went quite nice. Quite nice. In fact, someone commented on they liked my pants, which was a little strange. They didn't say anything about the socks or the sandals. It was the
But
pants.
clearly you were drawing attention to your to everything below your waist. So that's a positive
and
thing.
actually, Jenna brings up a very good point here. Very, very good point. It is helpful to have white socks for whenever you need to fix your white balance in a jiffy. That is actually a very valid point.
Spoken
actually,
like
that
a
is
true
valid.
photographer, yes.
I am quite impressed. I
had
am
not
quite
considered
impressed.
that, but
Is a
that's a
very
great
good
point,
That's a
yes.
very good point. Very good
Either
point.
white or mid-tone gray socks will get you very far in this world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could go for something like,
And so-
something like
okay.
midtone like that.
So we had the blue and gray, and then
You
this
know.
is that almost looks more like a
Well, like a brown.
Like khaki?
Concrete.
like
like
a
a brown.
concrete. Yes, it does look like a concrete, like a wet concrete mix.
Because now the brown goes with the sandals,
Yep.
so it's not as jarring
Right.
as the white
Right.
kind of a thing. Now then there is the option. Well, now. Now this is not. Now this is actually someone else.
Okay. For the record.
For the record, yes,
Yeah.
yes. This would be you. So just to show the, and I have to.
I normally
Jenna said something really funny, but I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should say it out loud.
is it
do you
in
think
the,
It's
It's
okay.
explicit. We'll let the people reading the chat get that. Lorian, you were about to say.
What?
oh.
Yeah. What? What? Yeah. What were you
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say?
Well, I normally am anti sock and sandal. I think as a general rule of thumb, but I have to say that the concrete-ish socks kind of work between the sandals and the pants. They kind of make the khaki of the pants and the brown of the sandals talk, and I kind of like that. That kind of works for me. And then I'm usually pro barefoot feet in sandals, but this just reads like I'm on my way to the campus showers to me. I don't
Yeah.
I can see that. Now, I have to say.
Although that is an interesting sandal design.
Yeah. It's a little textured.
Yeah.
I don't know MK, I don't know what that is, but I would say that from my perspective, I've never, in fact, come to campus with, wearing sandals only. And I have felt truly invigorated today. I was mentioning earlier, I feel a little lethargic, but if it were not for these sandals, I believe I would be in a completely comatose state right now.
So the open air is on the toes is helping to stimulate you.
It's sort of like, yeah.
So now
everything.
we have this variation. And
Which, for the record, is not
for the
me.
record is not, yes.
Now, is it you? No, not you either. all right.
For the record, this would be Lorian.
Ah.
Right. Okay, so anyway.
Now, so we want to turn this over to everyone watching. And
You
so
mean to do a poll?
We have created a poll. And I am going to paste the link to the poll
Oh wait, did I show the blue one?
into the chat.
Did I show the blue
You
one?
did.
You did, but let's leave that up there a moment longer. That gives me a chance to grab the poll link. And that's definitely something to consider. Now, we're going to drop this into the chat. And this is a anonymous poll. So I want people to feel like they can vote the way their conscience tells them they should. Although you will get only one vote per person because we take this very seriously. No ballot stuffing will happen tonight.
No ballot stuffing.
This is
Yes.
going to be scientific and proper. And at the end of the show, we will tally the results and we will see definitively whether we're looking at a world with socks and sandals, barefoot, or...
Well, I just find it. It's very strange that someone commented on my pants and not the socks. I mean, I think that.
Do you recall the precise comment that you received?
Yeah, I was just standing. I was at Black Row Coffee, getting some water, cinnamon in my coffee, and this person just was like, "Oh, nice pants." And I asked her about the socks and sandals, and it's saying it's not up. So Jenna says it's not up.
Yeah, I'm not able to follow it either.
Well, okay.
It's not up.
So what we're going to do is hit publish on the poll.
Publish on the poll. I
And
guess
that
would
may-
that would be helpful, I suppose.
I'm sorry, Chris. I
What?
missed. Did you say what was said by the person?
Did I say?
When you asked about the socks and sandals. So they
Oh.
said nice pants, and you said, what do you think about the socks
were
and
like-
sandals?
That was interesting. So they didn't seem to mind, you know. So
Can I tell you a secret, Chris?
what?
No.
No,
Are you up for it or no?
not right now.
Okay.
No, you might want to tell that secret because I need about 30 more seconds.
Still
to figure
not
out
up.
how
Yes. So
Okay.
Sarah says it's still not up.
to- Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we know.
So here's the thing, Chris.
Uh
If I
huh.
were looking at someone and I thought something unpleasant about them, I found myself being judgmental, like, oh, look, he's wearing socks and sandals. I think someone said hashtag people of Walmart on the chat.
Yes. Yeah.
If this judgmental thought popped into my head, I would immediately feel like a terrible person, and I would feel like I needed to give you a compliment to make up for the fact that I had thought something unpleasant about you and judgmental,
I guess-
even though I didn't know you. So I would have frantically searched your person for something that I could compliment. And the next thing I saw would have been your pants.
Well, I don't quite know how to respond to that, but I suppose. Well, I'm not going to stop. People don't. I don't know. I think that's. I mean, how could that not be fashionable? I mean, that's quite fashion. That's quite nice looking. Anyways,
I think it's more a question of, don't you want to liberate yourself? This is about more than just fashion.
liberate my what? My feet?
Yes.
No, I do not. People would not want to see that. And I do not want to see that.
All right.
But I guess we'll find out. It says it can't be loaded, Casey.
Still, the one I just posted?
I got on. I just
So Sarah
responded.
said it can't be loaded. So wait,
they
so
tried again?
Lorian
Because-
you got on?
I'm on there right now.
So
and
maybe
it's
Sarah,
working.
do you need to do
The first
no.
link is
So Jenna's having issues too.
is a no-go.
What?
No, Jenna.
Sorry.
The,
What?
the
Oh.
last one
Wait, no.
posted at 6:15
It appears that actually it may be.
is working.
Okay, well, we'll get that all sorted out.
Okay,
Corey
yeah,
got
it's
it.
good.
All right, excellent.
It's
So
good.
we
So
will-
it's good. It's working. Sarah just appears to be having
We'll
some
share that one
technical
more
issues.
time
That's
toward the
okay.
end of our time together, just
Yeah.
in case somebody
So
comes
we will
on board
find out
a little later.
what the people say.
That's right. Let the people decide.
I'll put my computer in rice. That's funny. Oh, look, Juliet voted. Okay, this is exciting. Computer fried rice.
Computer fried rice.
So I hope that it's funny because I hope we have not talked about blogging at all.
What does this have to do with blogging?
I know. I hope that no administration people are. They may be
Actually-
thinking that we're like, this is supposed to be a class.
Wait a
I
minute
was
now.
thinking, though.
Something.
Lorian may save our butts here. Yes.
Yes.
I'm a high school teacher. I do this all the time. Pull it on topic.
Yes.
This poll everywhere. Can't that be used on a blog? And can't polls be used as a way to engage your audience and interact with them, as well as gain valuable insights into ways to meet their needs?
Absolutely, it could. Yes.
So polls, yes. So polls would be essential tools to gauge the opinion
Yes.
of people
And
in your blog.
use that information to write additional content or publish additional content that would be of interest to them. Absolutely.
You know, supposedly, so Jenna's saying her dogs are watching. So supposedly we have dogs watching now.
I feel like it's a shortcoming in Google's analytics that it doesn't separately track that for
It
us.
should.
I swear
should,
to you, I
it
was
should.
just thinking that.
I mean, it's surely Google can figure that out.
So what is the topic today?
Well, one of the things I would like to talk about, I do want to reiterate, this is a very good point. Polls are a great way to engage our audience. And poll everywhere, if you use that, you can do not just multiple choice polls, but surveys of various kinds. You can have maps that people click on, and depending on your blog. I know a few of our students are blogging about travel, for example, so map-based polls might make sense.
Oh, before we just to quickly bring up in the beginning of the class, the section of class,
Yeah.
people were really demanding puppets. Do you think these puppets will at some point make a second appearance?
Well, I think that is a possibility. That is a distinct possibility. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep watching.
Yeah. One would have to stay tuned to see how that all transpires. But personally, I think it would be quite a shame if those puppets never came back again.
Well, there is only one more class.
Yeah. So, that's true.
Wow. Okay.
So now that we have that cleared up, a couple of things we want to talk about today in our little live get-together. Number one, we're having a very interesting discussion in the course, excuse me, about ethical concerns when we're blogging.
Sounds like something is happening in your headspace.
Something is definitely
yes.
happening in my headspace. Sorry. So ethical concerns when we're blogging. And I want to bring in a few interesting case studies from the recent past. And I know, Professor Campbell, you and I were discussing one a short while ago. We'll bring that one up. Lorian, you may know of examples as well. And we're not just talking about blogging, because a lot of this work bleeds into different areas. So it's blogging, yes, but a lot of times bloggers also have YouTube channels that they run. Vlogging is, of course, very popular. And really, it's about maintaining that overall online presence. So we're going to talk about a few examples from YouTube, some examples from the news as well. And then in our remaining time, we will take a look at a random sampling of 5 or 10 different sites from the course this semester. And we're going to do a little bit of a design critique on those sites and talk about what we think works well and a few suggestions here and there for fine-tuning the visual presentation of our online blogs. So,
What? Oh, yeah, sorry.
having said that, let's take a look. Now, I was not familiar with this particular personality until you mentioned it. Can you, is my screen
God, I forgot to press the record button.
on?
The camera. That's not the end of the world because this is being recorded on Wirecast and YouTube and et cetera, et cetera.
We are all recorded out. If you could, though, if you would
Yes, yes.
share my screen here.
Hold on, let me find the right mouse. There you go.
Now, you were telling me about this gentleman. I'm not sure if we know his given name, but he is known online as the Angry Photographer.
Angry Photographer, yes.
And he looks a little perturbed.
Yes, yes.
Although, from what you've described, he really has made this kind of his persona.
Well, there is a certain amount, yeah, there's a certain amount of, oh,
I want to know what's
No.
going on.
oh, look at that.
Can I see?
Jenna sent a photo of her doggy. Oh, that's cute. Here, what? Sorry. So, yes. So, anyways, in the photography community, or in a YouTube photography blogging community, there's this is a somewhat interesting situation. So everyone has a shtick, I think,
Yeah.
kind of a thing,
Yeah.
right? And
It's kind of the personal brand.
yeah. So he's kind of known as the, angry photographer. He gets angry about things like that. But we're talking about the ethics, right?
Yeah.
It's the ethics. The topic is the ethics.
We are talking about ethics, yeah.
Yes.
Can we pause first, though? Because I'm not familiar with him at all, and I'm coming into this cold. So can you
Well-
just give me, what kinds of things does he get angry about?
Well, it just gets angry about, not necessarily angry, but just very just kind of, not if angry is the
Agitated?
word.
Animated,
Well,
handsy,
when you're
Riled up.
blogging and you're,
riled.
yeah, no, let's hold on. There you go.
Peekaboo.
So he gets worked up.
Well, the YouTube community, like in the photography world, there's a certain, there's like about 5 bloggers that everybody knows about.
Okay.
Everybody, because they blog all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do, right? It's part of the regularity of being a blogger.
Right.
And so, and they go to all the events and things like that, and you see them all the time because they're always posting and things like that.
Whoa. Oh, you're on me. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
But sometimes it can get quite heated because it's very easy to say things about other people online, possibly without, they're not right there.
Yeah.
So people can say things that are maybe not very nice, things like that.
And some of these communities, if we want to call them that, but places like YouTube, it's pretty rough and tumble.
Yeah. And it's all very public too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this particular case, this particular YouTuber, there's another very popular YouTuber, Jason Lanier, who's another photographer. And
This sounds like a beef in the making.
yes, so this other photographer, the photo with the angry photographer, was supposedly had said some things that weren't impugning the reputation of this other photographer.
Some untoward remarks.
Yes. And the other photographer, Jason Lanier, and this is all public. I mean, these videos are all public,
Well,
and
this is the thing.
everyone can watch them and look at them.
These disputes do play out publicly.
Right, but Jason Lanier, this other photographer, basically made a public video saying, you know what, you can't do this anymore, and I'm going to take legal action against you.
Uh-huh.
Against this other individual for supposedly, and again, this is all hearsay. I don't know what's true, what's not true.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But you.
I just was going off of what was publicly said in these videos,
Okay.
kind of a thing.
So the idea here is a kind of defamation of character
Defamation.
lawsuit.
Right. So but the other, it's, the ethics of what can you say about people? What should you say? What should you not say?
Yeah.
And can it lead to, and sometimes it can supposedly, it sounds like, lead to legal, legal recourse.
Yeah.
With this idea of beef, excellent use of the term beef, by the way. I teach high school, and 2 of my students said that they had beef, and I said, "Oh, that's so sad. You 2 always got along so well."
Uh-huh.
But apparently, the formula for making it big on SoundCloud is to start a rap channel and then to have a friend who starts a rap channel and then to fake beef because
Okay.
that's what grants you legitimacy. So do we know for sure that they have real beef, or is it a stunt, a publicity stunt?
I mean, obviously, I can't say yay or nay because, for example, I don't want to be accused of defamation of character. I mean, by saying anything bad about this, particular photographer.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, this is all very public information because these videos have been made public, so everybody knows about. I'm just going off of what I
Yeah. Yeah.
read in the video, so
But there is
I can neither confirm nor deny what exactly happened in this
How much do you
individual.
really know about
Maybe
this? I feel like
very-
you might be holding back on us here, actually.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, there is this idea, though, that we live in this attention economy now, right? So anything that gets attention on us is good. And if that means manufacturing a dispute, well, hey, who's really harmed?
Well, that's
So-
called clickbait, right? So some people use it as clickbait,
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
yeah. Now, one could argue that it's a little deceptive to your audience if they're really, feeling like, oh, there is a legitimate issue here, and they get
But what I have noticed is that YouTubers and vloggers will make public videos in defense of themselves of what another blogger said about them.
yeah.
So there's another example with, another big name is it Tony and Chelsea Northrup, right? And then
Yeah.
Jared Poland, who's another YouTube photographer, the guy with the fro knows photos, that's his thing. He said something, and then the other vloggers said something back, but they all make these public videos basically in defense of what someone else said about them. I mean, now, should that be private or not? I don't know. Is
So
it?
people are spending a lot of time publicly defending their character.
Right.
And for all we know, it's legitimate. There may be a little bit of staging going on. It's
Right.
hard to know. If we put this into a package, though, that really can relate back to our students, I would say the big ethical thing we're talking about here, one of them anyway, is saying bad things about people, places, and groups. And that's an issue that a couple of students in the class brought up in the discussion forum because they are reviewing things, they're talking about their experiences, not all of which are entirely pleasant. And what is the ethical responsibility that we have in terms of sharing negative things?
Even when they're at a particular place or a particular event or
Yeah,
whatever
go to
it
an
is.
event, go to a local attraction, have a bad experience, write about it. Now, there is, at some point, a legal line that gets crossed, but there are so many requirements that need to be met, right? Because we do live in a society where a great value is placed on being able to share ideas freely, and with that comes a very high bar that needs to be met for there to be
Right.
legal action that can be taken.
Right. So you can, right, exactly. Right. So in other words, I'm not going to be, I'm a little paranoid about things. So I guess.
You're safe. Whatever's on your mind, just go ahead.
I am curious though,
can
if
say
you
it.
look at the chat, what do you think this is referring to? These 3 O
H
H
exclamation point
three?
3. I was wondering the
What?
same thing.
are the 3
That's a group, guys. Get with the times. Come on.
what's a group?
Is it really?
It's a musical group, yeah. They had that
Well,
song.
well, I'm
My
musically
first
challenged.
kiss went a little like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
I
I actually like that
someone
song.
can someone find that
Yes,
PA?
I'll pull it up for you.
Please
Could you
pull
pull
that
it
up,
up and so we can listen to?
You might get flagged on YouTube's
this-
copyright.
How do you say it? 3 O's 3? Is it something we can't say online?
I think it's just 303. I think.
Well, I want to hear this now.
We'll get that queued up.
I am
So,
musically challenged. Although I did learn last week what trap music is.
Yes.
Finally.
We had a very educational program last
I
week.
actually already knew that. I was enjoying watching you guys struggle with that.
It's what? Okay, so find the right song. We've been told.
It's the
Pressure's
one.
on.
Is it the one featuring Kesha?
What?
That's the one I was thinking.
That's the one That's the first hit that I got.
Okay, so here.
am I actually
yeah, just put
playing
it up to your,
well?
put it up, yeah, put it up to your mic, put it up to the mic. Your socket, your mic.
On.
By 3 p.m. Saturday, pick up in
Oh.
store the same
We'll skip past.
Yeah, I'm waiting till the ad goes away.
So while the ad is finishing up.
Yes.
Okay, it's done.
And it's done. Okay, so here we go.
My first kiss went a little like this. And twist. And twist.
Got a,
I wish we had a camera on you right now.
one.
Twist. And twist.
Okay, that's got an interesting, interesting. Wait,
No, Juliet's talking about it.
I can't breathe.
Excuse me, miss, but can I get you out your back of the
Breathe.
Well,
What?
dear me.
Are we done?
Are we
I
done?
think we're done.
I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Well, that was
We'll
was
play the rest of
interesting.
it for you later, Chris.
That was interesting. Okay, yes. The only music I know about is movie music.
You are getting better, though, at making and catching musical references.
Yeah. Well, I know like some good '80s music.
Oh, yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
No.
Like, does anyone even know about? Do any of the students know about the '80s music?
Well,
That sounds like a future poll that we could
put together here. Yes, you see, people only have to imagine your face while that song was playing. It's all we can do.
So before we get to this legal threshold, though, there is this ethical area that we have to grapple with. And I wonder, let's poll the room here, the physical room as well as the virtual room.
Yes.
Are there any guidelines that we can pin our hat on
Well, that's a good point.
when it comes to,
Well, a few people just finished taking ethics. I mean, it's been a little while since I've gone through the systematic moral analysis, the 12 steps. I don't know. It's probably in here somewhere.
I had
But
it
didn't we
in my
take it?
hand. I swear to you,
Just
I had
recently?
it in today when I went to
Today?
come here. I was trying to find a bag to use because long story short, I spilled milkshake in my other bag. But so I was trying to find a bag to use, and the bag I was going to use had the systematic moral analysis in it on top. And I had it in my hand, and I was trying to decide whether it stayed in the bag and came with me or not.
my goodness.
Now, that was, for those that do not know, that's referring to Denny's ethics class. The
Yes.
systematic moral. There's 12 steps, right?
Yes, 12 steps.
Right.
What
I took
is
it,
the
it's been a few years.
systematic moral analysis, and what would one gain by following these 12 steps?
Well, they're not exactly steps per se, although
Yeah,
it does. I do believe it begins with identifying the problem.
That-
But you don't have to admit that you have the problem. You just have
Okay.
to identify that there is one. I don't remember specifically.
There's many flowcharts involved. I remember that.
Yeah, there's because you can move over
Yeah.
based on your answers. That's how flowcharts work. But the idea is it takes into account things like who are the stakeholders, which I think is worthy of mentioning in this case, because I would think that would be a guideline or serious consideration. Is this something that it's important for your audience to know? Because I would think that may move the bar on whether or not it's actually ethical or not. So,
Okay.
for instance, if I went to, just because someone said people of Walmart, I'm thinking of Walmart now, but if I went to Walmart and I had a bad experience with produce or a price or one of the employees, but my blog is about teaching and the education system, I would not feel like, no matter how angry I was or upset I was, I wouldn't feel like that would be appropriate for my particular blog.
Interesting, given the focus of your blog and what your audience is expecting you to be
And what they
talking
need
about.
from me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I had a not nearly as bad experience in a classroom with another teacher, that might be a very pressing issue that I would want to consider further. Do I need to discuss that because it would be important to my audience?
So this is a good question for us to consider. Not only do people need to know about this, could they benefit from this information, but does my audience specifically stand to gain by talking about this? Anything
Yeah.
else from the 12 components or boxes in this flow?
Do you
no,
want to talk about any of it,
I
Chris?
it's been a
been a
few years since I
sweet
had
little
to since I took that class, although I remember struggling. It was
I think
not
I
a fun
was-
class. It was a very good class, but it was a very difficult class too.
It's been a hot minute for me too, but the other thing is the idea of harms, real harms. And I think this is where maybe legal considerations might come into mind. But this is thinking particularly of ethical harms. So something that upsets you isn't necessarily a harm, but something that deprives you of life, limb, property, freedom, things like that, those would be causing real harm. So you have to consider, is it something that needs to be put out there? And then if you feel like that, then if the answer is yes, then the next question is, does it cause any harm? And then if it doesn't cause any harm, then you just can move forward. But if it does cause harm, you need to consider, is the need worth the possible harm to the people who would be harmed?
Okay.
Well, supposedly, people seem to be interested in IHOP and burgers.
Okay.
At least there's a big discussion now about IHOP, and the beef. Now, some people may remember where's the beef?
The people who like 80s music will, people who appreciate 80s music will appreciate that Wendy's commercial throwback. Where's the beef?
The Wendy's.
All right. So on the systematic moral analysis thread, what I'm hearing you say there is it's not enough to just identify harms and benefits, but it's also important to quantify them. To measure, well, what is the extent of the possible harm or the extent of the possible value that could come from publishing this information. My question is, and I'm throwing this back to either one of you, but
Well, I mean, is someone I mean, for example, the Sony, Jason Lanier, he felt his reputation was harmed enough to pursue legal action. Just by what this other person, again, am I, well,
one can argue, in certain contexts anyway, that your reputation is your livelihood. Without that, you can't make a living.
but we're very public, but it's all very public. Everyone that, I mean, you're seen by millions of people when you put your vlog, when you have a vlog.
Or when you have a YouTube.
Or when you have a
millions of
YouTube.
people can see this.
9 people in a billion minus 9 dogs. So we've got billions. The idea is real harm. So, for instance, there's a defined set. I also had my ethics textbooks in the bag with the systematic moral analysis, and I remember thinking, why would I even be considering taking this? Because I did not know that the show was on ethics. So I don't even know why I processed the idea that I might bring them, and now I'm really seriously regretting. It was a moment of prescience. I should have left them in there, but there are established real harms ethically and also legally. And again, I can't remember back to law class well enough because that was like,
But
that
there
was also
is,
a hot minute ago.
but
But you have to say, you can't just say, okay, so I think that you guys have topped out. Have you ever hit over 100 views that you know of on YouTube?
What, with our show?
Yes.
Simultaneously, or
No,
No,
the maximum.
total.
The maximum amount of
cumulative.
time we've have actually, although this is by far the largest amount of people watching, 9. We've never had this.
Right, but I'm talking about views. Have you?
Views?
I'll look back through. I don't think you've ever.
Well,
I'm not sure you've ever hit over 100 views on any of your videos. So, but my point is so that if I were to say, if I were to go on my YouTube channel, which I don't have one. If I did, I would plug it here, but I don't. But if I went on my YouTube channel and I started beef against you guys, and I said
Beef.
terrible things about you, and I reviewed your show poorly,
I'm sorry, I just,
you just need just the clip. Where's the beef?
I know. This is so funny.
There we go. Okay.
Was that it?
Yes. and some places give you a lot less beef. So there you go. But but what real harm was done to you, even if, and now I'm going to sound like I'm being condescending. How do I not sound like that? Okay, so let's look at my YouTube channel for real. I don't
Our
think
YouTube channel?
in my own personal YouTube channel, I have one, and I've only posted like assignments on it. So I don't think I've ever gotten more than 2 or 3 views, and that's if a professor looked at it 2 or 3 times. So if you guys said something negative about me and my YouTube channel, and I cried harm, what real harm did it do to me when the most views I've ever gotten is 3? How did you injure me objectively and demonstrably? How did you hurt me or my brand? How can I argue a real harm there? I would have to argue loss of income or a loss of reputation that resulted in a loss of views. There would have to be some kind. Kind of.
Well, and then ultimately,
marker.
the one thing I do remember from the class is that ethics and morals is that it's a gray area. It's not cut and dry, and that's what was so interesting for. I remember doing the class that when I did photojournalism. So now we have. We actually have other. Well, this is I guess the word is spreading because now other people that are not even in the class are watching the show. I appreciate that.
And
That's
we'd like to
very,
formally welcome Creamer Time.
I'd like to
the
formally
to the chat.
welcome. I want to say the name, but I don't know if that's appropriate or not. So I probably will not. But
Didn't you just say it?
what?
Darn those ethics! You need to.
But it's a gray area and different. Like for example, what photos would you publish? Right. When I did the everyone would publish different things.
And what's the right answer?
Right. And then there's also moral frameworks.
What's the right answer?
There's different moral frameworks. There's the utilitarian. There's the, I can't remember the other. There are a bunch of them that everyone has their own moral framework.
Yes.
So why even talk about this if it's all relative?
Well, then you
But-
would lead into, then it would be then there would be anarchy, and you can't have anarchy. I mean, then everyone would just be going around. There has to be a certain something certain, or else it'd be like The Purge, the movie where everyone's like killing everybody or something like that.
Okay, if we're gonna go, I have something completely off topic about the purge, but with a systematic moral analysis, even though there are different frameworks and there is a gray area, there is actually the idea of real harm, both legally and ethically. And things like hurting my feelings isn't considered a real harm, but things like causing me the loss of something that I would otherwise have, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, something that I already have, that is considered a real harm in ethics.
All right, I want to.
Sorry.
What?
So
No, go, please.
Well, we only have 15 minutes. So, were there other examples that you were gonna talk about?
I was actually just about to pull in a second example here to, and hopefully apply what we're discussing to
Bernard
this.
Gert. Yes, Gert, yes.
Bernard Gert. There we
And
go.
No, Gert
John
is
Mill.
Gert is the. Thank you for Sarah for bringing that up. Gert is the author of the systematic, one of the authors.
Yeah.
Authors.
Now, and Corey is correct. Bloggers can commit libel. That is a completely possible thing to happen. So that's a legal consideration.
Wait, is libel when you say something bad about someone?
Not only bad, but something that's not true, that is malicious and not true, and you do it knowingly,
So
and it's in writing.
if I said your haircut was bad, then is that libel?
No, first of all, because you said it, you didn't write it down. Secondly, it's an opinion. You could always say, well, it's just my opinion. And third, with the real harm, clearly it's not bad, so there's no harm done. Now, could you bring us to my screen here?
Your screen.
If you put in writing, Chris, that
There it
Casey's
is.
credentials, his degrees, were fake, that he printed them out using Publisher and an inkjet printer.
If I said that or wrote that down.
If you wrote it down, if you printed it in a publication, including your blog, and
So
it's
if I
not
say
true,
it and it's being recorded, is that the same as writing it
No,
down?
what's the other one? There's libel, and I just forgot the other one.
Slander.
Thank you. I could not remember the other one. But
Oh my God!
so that would be
Everyone's defending your
slander.
haircut now. Look at this.
This is what
defamation
happens
of
when you come
character.
after people. They're
I was in jest. I was in jest with the haircut.
But
Just to put
Chris,
it on record, public record as a recording, I think that Casey's haircut is wonderful.
But if you wrote Chris that his degree was fake,
Yeah.
and those are his credentials on which
Okay.
his employment is based, if you wrote that and
So-
published it on your blog, knowing that you were wrong,
All right.
and doing
Well,
it,
okay, so what is this? What is this person on screen?
all right. So this is Bernard Gert. No,
Oh no, it's not.
this is Logan Paul of YouTube fame.
Oh, okay.
Now, Logan Paul, I imagine everyone in our chat room knows about Logan Paul.
I do not know about Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, Lauren Logan Paul, no. Well, he's very popular with the tweens.
The tweens?
Yes,
What's a tween?
like 12 to 14-year-olds.
not quite a teenager.
Yeah, 11 to 14 maybe, 11 to 13, somewhere in there.
But he really got, and he's very popular on YouTube, very prolific YouTuber. But he really
God.
got into a bit of trouble earlier this year. When,
This hair. Did you look at the what? Look at
well,
the.
no, I'm looking at
It's
Logan
it's
Paul.
getting pretty. Pretty. I did not realize that. Impugning your hair would cause such a visceral response
Such
in
a
people.
ruckus.
My gosh,
My goodness.
I did not mean to do that. That was not my intention. I guess intention is another issue too,
Intention
right?
is an issue, yes.
Yeah.
You cannot accidentally libel someone or
Right.
slander them.
Well-
It would have to be intentional. Now, so earlier this year, Logan
Mm-hmm.
Paul, as part of his YouTube channel, goes to Mount Fuji. And he goes to a part of the mountain, a forest, briefly recapping this whole thing. And it's a little disturbing, but there's a part of this forest that is notorious in Japan as a place that people go to
commit suicide.
to commit suicide,
Yes,
to
yes.
to kill
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
So he went there. You're familiar with this?
Well, actually, I'm familiar with the forest because
Okay.
Vice News and some other documentaries have done some things on some stories about this forest in Japan where people go. to
Okay,
commit
but you
suicide.
hadn't heard about this particular
Not
case
this
of Logan Paul.
particular event.
So
no.
Logan Paul went there, and he's recording as he goes,
Uh-huh.
and he gets a couple of 100 yards in after a few minutes, and he sees a body hanging
Uh-huh.
from a tree,
Oh.
and he records it, and he makes some very, I guess you could call them bad jokes,
Well, it sounds like it was very
In
disturbing
poor
because
taste.
in poor taste. Yes.
Sarah says it just says it's extremely disturbing.
Yeah, yeah, and the pushback he got on that was pretty intense. At the time, he had risen to the upper echelons of YouTube. There are levels that we don't even know about, but there's some kind of preferred host level.
Oh, you mean in terms of like the number of the subscribers?
Yeah, once you get a certain number of subscribers, it opens you up to premier advertisers, and you
Oh.
can legitimately make a living out of this.
Oh,
Logan
yeah.
Paul is
yeah.
a millionaire.
Yeah.
And he got kicked off of that, and sometime later, YouTube took the video down, and he came out and apologized. And there was a big to-do, and many people said that there's a deeper problem than just Logan Paul's, what many would consider to be pretty poor
You
judgment.
mean deeper problem with society?
With society, and with YouTube at least, that they, many said that they encourage this kind
Well,
of content.
the anonymity, I can't say that word, anonymity,
See enemies.
Onomatopoeia.
anonymity, that you have, that people have on the internet, I think is partially to blame for that.
Okay, but in this particular case,
This was not
he's
anonymous.
putting his face
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. So what was his? What did he say? He said he was sorry. And so has he been permanently damaged in terms of viewers and things like that?
I don't know. I think he has made a bit of a comeback, although recently he announced he's not doing daily vlogs anymore. But I think he's at least in part recovered, and he characterized it as a really bad decision. I guess what I want to put on the table, though, is there an ethical concern with what he did? And if so, what? And how do we understand that in terms of a systematic moral analysis?
Well, I think
because
that
he didn't
probably-
say anything bad about anyone.
So what was he? So it was showing the bodies in the forest, and was he commenting on something about them, or
Yeah.
just
He was sort of, jokingly saying, are you okay? Can you hear us? Are you with us?
all right? So here it sounds like his reputation is
How-
pretty damaged, and
how-
that's a quote from Sarah. So I did not say that.
How did they? Did you say how they die and I missed it? Like why were the bodies there? What was the situation?
Well, this particular body that he found was hanging from a tree in the forest.
Well, I can
Okay.
see how that would, I mean, ultimately, there are consequences to everything too. So if you do something, there are definite consequences.
If not legal, there could be
Well, yeah.
economic consequences, consequences to your perceived reputation. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
With
constantly pushing without knowing how far.
I'm switching.
is-
over.
Okay, so
I don't understand constantly pushing the envelope.
yeah, I'm a little
without
confused
knowing
too
how
about
far
Misty's
not to go.
comment. Constantly pushing the envelope without
I'm
knowing
struggling
how
with
far
it.
to go.
Put it together in my head.
Yeah. Sorry, Misty, I'm just a little
I
confused
don't know what you mean.
about that.
And then Sarah says exactly like she got it, but I don't understand.
Well,
I guess-
one way we could maybe interpret this is it isn't a problem until it's a problem.
Did you get it, Casey?
I'm trying to
Oh.
intuit, but
I can read it to you if you want.
I think that. I think for me the question is, well, what is the line? And also, being provocative is rewarded, at least to some extent, monetarily rewarded. And this is the issue that many people have with YouTube's role in all this, and how they were very late in taking the video down. But if you're provocative, you're going to get rewarded. But if you're too provocative, there's going to be a big backlash. And then in
Well, yeah.
retrospect, you
Yeah.
realize that it was in poor taste, it was unethical.
Well, like the Kathy Griffith thing.
That's another good
The
example.
Kathy,
yeah.
with that. I mean, that really, she got a lot of backlash from that.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think recently she actually said that she regretted ever apologizing for it and stood by the original artwork that she had created.
Right. But right afterwards, she was quite, very sorry, et cetera, et cetera.
This we've really taken a terribly dark turn tonight, but this was she did a photo shoot with a mannequin that looked like Donald Trump's severed head,
Okay.
Yeah.
holding it in her hand.
And yeah.
And
And she got a lot of backlash from conservatives and liberals alike, basically from everybody.
And then the response is often, that was, so clearly out of bounds. How did you not realize that as you were there spending hours at this photo shoot and then, having this thing published?
I feel like can we go
So,
back to
well-
Paul Logan and that idea of ethics?
Please.
Was it because I feel like this
Just
is
to let everyone, just to let everyone know, we have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Now, I'm sorry,
No,
I just
no,
going
please.
to, before I forget,
Oh, you mean to look
I
at
just
it?
want to put the poll in there
The
one
poll,
more
yes.
time.
Wait, oh, should I put the poll up online?
Not yet, not yet.
No?
We'll screen share when the time comes.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
well I feel like these aren't necessarily ethical questions as far as maybe taste questions, and is it and maybe even strategy questions. Is it a good strategy to push the envelope as far as you can? And I think in some ways it's ethically irresponsible to not push the boundary in some ways. I think that the existing boundaries, that as journalists and or bloggers, it's important that we're questioning and pushing and bringing the stories that people need to hear. And so my question then is, how does that relate back to ethics? What do you have an idea for some kind of working framework to think about or something like that?
In other words, what is if there is an ethical concern in this case, what exactly is it?
Yes.
Well, sorry, I was. Again, that was discombobulated.
I think, unless
Sure.
you're about to speak,
No.
all right. You only have 3 minutes left. I think one of the concerns that I heard raised is he has this young audience, young impressionable audience who look up to him and see him as kind of a role model. And in modeling a behavior that a lot of people would consider to be very disrespectful, in a disrespectful way that didn't seem to have an additional purpose. Chris mentioned Vice News went there. I bet that's a really well done.
Yeah, it was
documentary.
a tasteful if you want to use the word piece, and they weren't showing, they weren't. I mean, if I was I could see how someone's family would get quite irritated with that. If it was, something like if someone was making fun of, yeah. But yeah, no, the Vice one was quite. It was a typical, very reporting style, documentary type news story about this forest.
So I wonder if an ethical concern could be kind of this role model idea, because he does have that platform, he does have that audience, and the way he conducts himself and the kind of person he presents himself to be is potentially influential.
Oh, well, Lisa brings up here a point in the chat that copycat suicides could have resulted from his post. So that's an interesting direct harm. That's a very,
Yeah.
Nice direct harm. I think most of this is more moral than ethical, but I think that as far as ethical goes, I would just like to say before I butt out and go to pull everywhere or whatever you want to do, but I just think that it's important to think about serving your audience, what your audience needs, and then being respectful of them and their needs. And maybe sometimes they need you to push boundaries in certain areas for certain reasons, and maybe sometimes they need you to respect things in certain areas. So that was my thoughts.
I think that is very well said
So,
and a very important point.
it looks like we have a. Should we put the poll up?
Well, let's finish off with the poll here. Yep, we got the 1 minute warning.
Oh my gosh!
now-
now this is interesting. It appears that overwhelmingly, by a very large margin, it appears that the sandals without the socks
Although I can't
appears to
help
have
but
won.
think this may be further fallout from the haircut.
What, from the haircut remark?
So our highly scientific polling here may have been somewhat.
But some
unduly-
people.
What is our sample size?
Some people.
I can't see from here.
Well, yeah, actually, that's a good point. What's the sample size? Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming all 9 of our viewers.
All 9, right. So then, but more than 50, okay, so, well, this is, well,
What I find, I think, most notable is there was no clear front runner across your 3 different sock options.
yes, that
Nobody liked my shoes.
Well, you have to
How
consider.
about if you vote for those shoes, Casey or Chris will wear them on air next week for the last show.
You did have some really stiff competition, though.
This is
I know,
true.
this is, well,
true.
well, yeah,
This wasn't just any footwear you were in competition against.
well,
Yeah.
well, Sarah brings up a good point. I had 3 photos of my footwear and I still didn't win. That's somewhat disturbing.
Talk about
well,
stacking the deck.
I will continue to wear socks despite this poll.
I have to say, I admire your fortitude.
And again, the white balance, as Jenna brought up, you never know when you're going to need a proper white point
That's
for
right.
white balance, you know?
And no interviewee would ever balk if you dangle the sock in front of them as you're setting up your shoot. That's for sure.
lift your leg with the sock and
So,
shoe
there you
on
go.
it into their face area.
Yes. So,
All right.
anyways, now, so next week, it's one of the last week, correct?
Next week is our last week. Yes. We are wrapping up.
So be sure to tune in.
We may have special guests in the studio.
Special guests. Oh,
So
That's exciting.
we will see you there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
and we're going to cut to the Perfect Bloggers now.